What's happening, everybody? Welcome to episode 33 of the Club Lorcana podcast. I am one of your hosts, Jeremy Bertrioni. With me, as always, Zan Syed.
Hello.
And joining us today, very special guest, almost a friend, we have Ryan Walker.
Hello.
We are super excited today to talk to you about some of the top decks of Set 7. But first, a little bit of housekeeping. I wanted to announce the winner of our giveaway. We are giving away an amazing Joshua Paltree playmat. Ryan's sitting on one right now. The cats love them, is what I learned about him, because he sent me one. Thanks so much as a sponsorship, and I can't keep my cat off of there. So the winner of the giveaway that we did, and we plan to do so many more giveaways, but the winner of the first one is Will Franklin 2. Will Franklin 2, you were the randomly selected comment on last week's video to win the playmat. Please email Zan. You can find his email on his Twitter account and on his LinkedIn to claim your prize.
I also commented on his comment.
Perfect. Lastly, we would like to shout out to Metafy. Zan, you have a Metafy thing. I'll give you the platform to talk about that.
Yeah, I'm going to be releasing a brand new Set 7 deck Friday before my first tournament. So go buy the list.
That's awesome, Zan. You know, I made a PowerPoint about one of the decks that's coming out in Set 7 to show my girlfriend, Fiona, because she is playing in the March 23rd Charlie's 10K. And so she was like, "Can you make a PowerPoint explaining the deck to me?" So I might release on Modify. I got a slideshow that just does some really basic. Here are the cards. Here's how you interact. Here's what you don't watch out for a deck that we are going to talk about on the podcast. That's just true. So look out for that when it comes out on Metafy.
Can you make a PowerPoint on all the top decks in the meta?
I could. I used to do that in high school. I would make PowerPoints on Magic the Gathering top decks, and everyone in my high school really loved them.
What?
I presented them in my Latin class, and for, I guess, credit. And
you took Latin?
Yeah.
What? I took Latin.
Where and I?
I mean, yeah, dog. I love Latin class.
Did you go to a Latin convention?
I didn't go to Latin Con.
They didn't call it Latin.
You didn't call it Latin Con because you weren't a real Latin Con head, but Latin convention, you know.
Cool. I don't have this on my notes. So.
Yeah, that's why I don't like to do notes. You guys are all like, "Oh, we can all have notes," and I was like, "That's worse," because now we're gonna be like, "We're off topic." Even and the guests are like, "What?" So that was Metafy.
Yep.
Usually we like to start the podcast with a meta report, but the meta is yet to be uncovered. So we're just gonna talk about the top decks, the winners and losers from Set 7. What deck do you guys want to talk about first?
Red Purple.
All right. Red Purple is probably the biggest loser of Set 7. It got almost no new cards. If it's going to have to survive, it's going to have to look dramatically different than anything we've ever seen. The closest I got was a Coda build. It's that new bear that's like a 1/4 with Challenger 2. And then if it dies in a challenge on your turn, it goes back to your hand and draws a card.
I don't think that's the angle.
Or it could quest for 2. I just think there's not an angle, Zan. I mean, that's really how I feel about Red Purple.
I think if there's an angle, it's gonna be like a burn deck.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. If it's gonna be viable, it's gonna go back to that burn. What did burn get? It got a new tool, right?
Yeah, I got the song.
Got
Gain one lore, draw a card.
Yep.
Got an amazing song. Look at this family. Weirdly enough, I think it's the first time that a song has the same name as another song. There's a yellow Look at This Family that has Sing Together 7.
Sing Together,
Yeah. So this is the first, double song. Obviously, multiple characters are multiple cards, but the first song that's 2 cards. So Look at This Family, the purple one, is the new card. It is an uninkable. You gain...
Wait, how do you put that on a deck list?
2 lore and you draw a card.
It's called This Is My Family.
Oh.
So
as opposed
fine.
to Look at This Family.
Yeah, we're fine.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, no, we're fine, Zan. This one's called This Is My Family. I was going to say the answer to the question is on a deck list, you just have to kind of write a little paragraph explaining which card it is. But I guess you don't. So are we wrapped up with Red Purple? Is there anything else you want to say about it?
No. So we played a little bit of Blue Steel versus Red Purple. Red Purple has a -% chance of winning.
Yep. It's like getting in the ring with Samoa Joe. Blue Steel is not normal, and you got a -% chance of winning.
Yeah. Basically, your opponent you're playing the game of like your opponent has to like die, like in real life, in order to win that matchup. That's how bad it felt.
Okay, Sam, what about a deck you're excited about?
What am I excited about? I mean, blue steel seems like fun. Blue red seems like a ton of fun. Blurple is fun.
So we can only play blue cards.
The blue cards were the big winner from spoiler season set 7, of course. Are all of these decks, Zan, because you're playing Blurple, you're talking about blue-green, are they all items, bells, Tamatoas, and that nature? Or is like your, for example, is blue-green or Blurple moving away from that formula and trying to do something else?
All of them are item decks.
Okay, this is great. I feel like
Blelo item deck.
well, that's a show, everybody. No, I'm just kidding. All right, great.
So day one, you think blue steel is number 1 of 3 of those you just stated?
Well,
Is it in that order?
I think day one is red blue is number 1.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Red blue was the best color combination last set. We're gonna start with where set 6 left off. We got a bunch of strong blue cards, so I'm gonna say blue red is number 1.
Oh, great. And then what about, okay, so people have been thinking about ways to beat the blue decks without, I guess, playing the blue decks. And one of the most popular decks right now on Dreamborn.inc is a really good resource, by the way. If you guys are on Dreamborn.inc, you can go to trending and see what some of the most popular decks are, is a green-yellow deck that uses Lady and the Tramp and then lots of draw discard synergies. This is honestly the deck that I'm most excited for and the one I'm making the first PowerPoint about.
Sweet. How about in Prezi? Can you put it in Prezi?
I hate Prezis.
What's wrong with Prezi?
I really don't like them at all. I think they're like scam PowerPoints. They're like PowerPoints if you didn't want the like usefulness of being able to like go back a slide really fast or like just click on a certain one to reference it. It's like, what if instead of that, you got to be on a little dumb roller coaster? And I just like don't.
It's pretty accurate.
I just like don't understand who that's for.
What about like a Substack?
I think Substacks are, that's like fine. I'm extremely anti-Prezi, and I always was. My first exposure to it was, of course, in high school, and they did a Prezi presentation, and the teacher was like, I mean, didn't that look nice? And I was like, well, wasn't it functionally like a lot worse? It's like what I said in high school. And she was like, Jeremy, don't be negative. I was like, okay, great. I think it looks horrible.
So tell us about your Emerald presentation.
Well, this isn't mine, but I mean, basically the deck list, it has things like, well, first of all, it's an amber aggro deck, like first and foremost. So you're playing Daisy Duck, you're playing Winnie the Pooh, and then you have interesting cards that, like, when you first see them, you're like, oh, I don't really get it. Like you have the new Yzma. It's a 2-ink 2/2 that quests for 1, but when it enters battlefield, you can draw a card, discard a card, which Steel has been doing for a really long time. You'll notice 2 Turnabox followers at the top. The first thing I noticed about the deck was that it had 2 glass slippers in it, but not a lot of princes. So I was like, oh, they didn't read that you need a prince. Then I was like, oh no, this is like a card you want to loot away because you're playing the new Lady and you're playing the new Tramp, and the Tramp that costs 1 less for every character that you have in play. When you play it, you can draw cards equal to the number of characters you can play and discard that many cards. And like, this is the type of deck where even if that number's 5, that feels really good actually, because you're getting like maybe 2 slippers down there. You're like Turnabox follower can like maybe come out for free after that. So like, it's an aggro deck with like a little bit of a combo finish. The only
It's like playing at Visions and all the cards come into your hand. You just get to choose exactly what you need at the right time.
Exactly. The only item is strike a good match, or not item. The only action is strike a good match, draw 2, discard 1. And I'm really liking this deck. So Zam, why don't you raid on my parade? What's the problem?
I mean, I just think that Steel is more likely to be better because when you're looking at this deck, you aren't utilizing any removal, right?
Yeah.
So it's just like a hyper aggro deck. So let's say you lose the die roll, you're already in a bad spot.
Yeah.
Like to start off. And if someone else is playing a bell, let's say someone goes like bell on 1, bell on 2, right? Someone's running a little hot, but it's not that unreasonable. It's like easier to do than Diablo.
Sure.
Then what, like, how is this deck beating that?
Oh, well, you have a couple of different openers that are your options. Daisy Duck, when combined with the new Cheap Tramp, can get enough power to take out a Bell all on its own. You also have a couple of O4s, which are good at hitting into Bells to draw off a Rapunzel, and just sort of trying to... It's a little tough. I mean, this is the challenge for all the aggressive decks, right? Like, how are you going to deal with Bell and maybe even Bell? And I think that, the answer of Daisy Duck Tramp is as good as any. People were talking on the floor. They were like, oh, purple decks can all just play Rafiki. And I was like, you're losing that game. You know what I mean? You're like not winning there either. So like, how does this argument not just like always exist whenever we're talking about aggressive decks? You know what I mean? Like, even if I'm a steel aggressive deck, when am I going to let the Storm Rage on a Bell? That doesn't help me. And then I'm trying to get 3 guys to Strength of a Raging Fire a Bell. You're just going to use your Bell to sing songs to kill my guys. So like, is this just the end of the conversation anytime a deck is aggressive?
I mean, maybe the comparison is really yellow purple, right? Because that's the department we're shopping in, right?
Yeah.
Are you a better aggressive deck than yellow purple has been historically, do you think?
I think that combo finish can really get you over the edge. Like, I think that a lot of the times the yellow decks will like fail to have a good top end, but this one you're like Chernabog, or you have what's unique about this deck that Amber decks have never really had before is sort of like Burn or like Haste with the new Cinderella. If you bottom Glass Slippers, then you gain 3 lore, and Amber decks have never had that before. Like even Amber Steel, Diggity Hole, as aggressive as it was, if you were playing red blue and you like Wrath them and they're at 18, as long as you have the type of hand where they're never going to get to untap with a guy again, then you're going to win. But here, there's a little bit of burn left in the tank. That's like sort of what is attracting me to this deck.
Well, I think that the Cinderella package fits better in other shells. I mean, I think it's much better in Amber Steel songs, right? Where you actually have princes, right? Like you have, you can play the Simba package.
Yeah.
You can play, what do you call it? And you just have, what's his name? Prince Naveen.
Simba's a prince?
Yeah.
Ooh. Every Simba is a prince?
Remember when we played Pride Lands? You could flip it and play all of our cards for free.
Yep. So you get what I'm saying? Like I just think that is a much better deck to do it with, and you have Whole New World. You know what I mean? Like, okay, I don't have time to tutor up. Let me just Whole New World. Whereas you're saying I need to play Yzma in order to like make this card playable.
So what about these Lady and the Tramp cards that seem really strong? There's one lady that gets 2 guys back from the graveyard. That's
how
really
they get you.
That's one I want to talk about. It's pretty nice to get 2 daisies back out of your discard. And
No,
Quest for
I
4.
hear you. I just think that when Blue Red turns the corner, right? Like, let's not try to speculate too much on Blue Red. Like, let's just say we're playing my list of Blue Red, which is like standard, like Sisu's, baby Sisu's, and big Sisu's.
Right.
2B preps. Right. Like this is like a version that's built off of what Sailor built at the beginning of the format.
Okay.
Right. And my number one addition to the deck was Felicia. Minus the Felicias, plus 4 bells. What are we looking at? We're looking at a strictly better version of that deck that is going to still be like better against steel.
Okay, right? So you think that if I'm playing yellow steel, I have a better chance against that deck than if I'm playing green yellow? That's like hard for me to believe.
I just think that you're much better against everything else. So let's say there are like 3 or 4 aggro decks. Amber Steel wins every single time.
Yeah, Amber Steel is usually the aggro, sit on top king.
Yeah, so if that's the case, then why not just start off at Amber? Because if you're going into a tournament and it's like randomness right now, because it's the beginning of the format, you rather have the deck that beats all the other aggro decks. Let's say it's like 5% worse, but you are like 20% better against all aggro decks. Like you're giving up 5% of being more aggressive to being better against all the aggro decks. What are we talking about? Like, let's play an aggro deck that can play the control role against some of these other decks. Because you're not gonna win the die roll every time, right? Like you're not gonna win the die roll every time, and when you don't win the die roll, you're just gonna lose, right? Like So when we went to Southside Gaming, playing in Southside Gaming, we played 8 rounds. I lost 7 die rolls.
Sure.
And I finished 6-2.
You're not supposed to keep track of how many die rolls you lose.
I mean, I'm not superstitious. I'm just trying to keep track of like how much it affects my game and my deck decision, right? So Purple Steel is a deck that is affected by it a lot, right?
Yeah.
So I finished 6-2. I think that if I had a better deck to give me a better chance to steal the play, then I can do that. Like I can still win those matches with higher. Like I could have maybe won one more match, right? If I played blue red, the room was better for blue red as well. The next day I played blue red. I never lost, and I lost I think every die roll on day 2. If not, maybe I lost 1. So I finished 5-0, drew into top 8, and then you know the rest. But basically, what I'm saying is like I just don't want to play a deck where I can't switch it back. Like,
is that a good segue into Purple Steel?
Well, what I want to say is Cinderella singing "Let the Storm Rage On" is a way to steal the play.
Yeah.
Right. And the reason why we're so worried about Belle is because Belle does the same thing. Play Belle, let the Storm Rage On. You stole the play, but now you have 2 different angles. You can then sail, and that's where like
you jump ahead.
Yeah, you jump you were on the play. You're like 2 turns ahead. You dealt with their thing for free. You drew a card. You ramped yourself. You played an item, and then you play a Hiram next turn. You're drawing more cards than they could ever hope for, and you have 2 threats that are just now can sing the rest of your deck.
I like this conversation, by the way. I'm really happy about how it went because we had moments where you were like, why is it better than X deck? And I like had answers for you. I was like, well, I like this angle, and the other deck doesn't have access to it. And then you provided counter. I just want the viewers at home to remember that this is how deck conversations basically should sound, and that it's going really well. I was going to say, let's talk about a different deck. This is the one that Ryan Walker wanted to talk about, and I actually learned about this a couple seconds ago when he asked if it was a good time to transition to Purple Steel. Ryan Walker, why don't you talk to us about Purple Steel? What's attractive about what's attracting you to Purple Steel? Just be honest with us.
I mean, we've got to talk about the big purple serpent, right?
That's what she said.
Purple serpent in the room. I mean, so let's talk about the tools that it got, right? I mean, it has to start with the snake. I've seen people testing out Jafar Wheel again. I don't think Jafar Wheel necessarily is back in town, but I do think we have, the same Purple Steel shell we were working with recently, plus a few cards, right?
Yeah, if Jafar Wheel is back, it probably involves Mickey.
Oh yeah. The 1/1 kill a thing, get a big thing for free.
Yep, Mickey.
You want a Mickey Crab, put it into Jafar. Say go. An opponent's like, what, dude? What
Mickey Crab is diabolical, actually.
Yeah, you can also play Cogsworth and give it a rush.
Yeah. The small Cogsworth gives them a rush.
Yep.
1 cost, right?
Yep. But I don't think that's the angle that we want to be taking. The format's only gotten faster. No. So we talk about Purple Steel. We should talk about Red Purple, right? Red Purple. What did we say? We want to play an aggro version of it.
Mm-hmm.
Purple Steel is a better aggro version.
Yeah.
Right? Like we got this serpent card, right? You want to say what it does?
Yeah, the serpent card is an illusion card, right?
Yeah.
4/4.
4/4 illusion for 3. So pretty big stats on a 3-drop card.
And it has to be in Purple Steel. It's a Purple Steel. What do we call that? Hybrid?
Dual ink. Right?
Dual ink.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. Dual wielding.
What's the ability on the snake? Do you remember?
Yeah. I don't remember what it's called, but when you play it, you can discard a card from your hand to gain 2 lore.
Yep. And it quests for 1, right?
Yeah.
So.
And it has vanish.
It has vanish, which is very, very important, right? When we keep talking about Belle and singing "Let the Storm Rage On," you're like, "This is a 4/4 that can be eaten by that." What? Right? But.
Didn't it already do its job by getting you 2 lore when it came into play?
You had to discard a card. Goat did that by dying.
Way more efficiently, yeah.
Yeah, but it costs one more.
So then, like the Madame M snake stuff, like your goat bounce goat, you're getting the same amount of lore as with the snake, but the snake, it costs a lot less to do, but you're losing cards. So it's like a really hard evaluation to make. Basically, you're going to want to leave the snake in play most of the time for a turn, whereas the goat, sometimes you just play it and bounce it and keep it in your hand, and you know you're going to win that way eventually. So much to consider. But what's interesting about this purple steel deck is that it has a lot more burn. I've seen a lot of lists that aren't playing This Is My Family, and I think that's a huge mistake. I think that card is amazing in purple steel.
Yeah, basically, if you think Let the Storm Rage On is a good card, and you're playing like an aggressive deck, that's like the best card you can be playing. The other thing is, like, now we know that purple steel is more so solidified as a dock deck.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Right? It's like the 4 dock deck, and now if you have extra docks, you can get rid of them using the Serpent, and Doc can sing this song, which is great.
Is there a chance that this deck goes full burn with like the new Honey Marin, maybe even some Gathering Knowledge and Wisdoms, and you just try to get the I saw R&B call it artificial lore gain?
I mean, it's just straight burn if you're familiar with Magic, right? Burn is like actions that just gain you lore and do nothing else, right? So
basically exactly Gathering Knowledge and Wisdom.
yeah, I mean, well, burn is a little bit different, right? Like they can deal the damage to a character or to the face, right? So
most of the time, but not with the really good burn card, Lava Spike.
Lightning Bolt.
Lightning Bolt was a worse Lava Spike because you could mess it up and not hit their face accidentally.
Yeah, which is hilarious. But going back to Lorcana, yeah, I mean, I think Gathering Knowledge is a fair card in the deck. I mean, I don't feel great about it. I think that what's Bosses on a Roll, that card has a huge consideration as well. Because like you're trying to empty your hand, and Doc is gonna refuel it, and you just want to go more in. I think that we might be seeing like the first official super burn deck. You know.
Nice. I would love it. I love burn decks. I was a burn Andy in Magic the Gathering for a long time. Probably had the highest win rate I've ever had in any card game is when I used to play burn in Modern.
We haven't gotten the card that tips it over the top, I don't think.
I agree.
But I mean,
You can't just say that and not tell me what is that card?
what
What tips it over the top?
Oh, we don't know yet. But
I mean, if there was one ink, like it doesn't have to be inkable, but one ink gain 3 lore. I mean, they have that.
Okay.
They have that in Magic.
Really?
yeah, well,
They have multiple of them.
Is one.
I would be a burn Andy as well.
It was 1 mana, deal 3 damage to target creature or player. So you deal it to the player.
But in Magic, you can go over 20, like in terms of your life.
Mhm.
You can go so you can make it so that someone needs to get 25 lore, 30 lore, in order to complete the game.
I would also be happy with a it's 2 ink, you can ink it. It's a 2/2, it quests for 1, and whenever your opponent plays a card, you gain a lore.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be great.
Fair card.
I think it sounds awesome.
Okay. I'm excited about green blue. I don't know about you guys. I feel like some of these guys are pretty excited about green blue. I don't know if I'm as excited for the ink geyser type of green blue as I am for a shift heavy Diablo Hero Hamada type of green blue.
I don't think that version is the version
That deck sucks.
I mean, that's what a card like Bell does. It like makes you feel like there is a core and you have to build around that core. I think the green blue deck definitely does exist. I think it's gonna take a lot of time to figure it out, and depending on, like, if there's worlds or a DLC, I may put in the time to try and crack it. But if there's not that, then I'll be happy to play, whatever the obvious tier 1 list ends up being, if it's blue red or blue steel or blurple or whatever.
Hard to say, like in a week or 9 days we're going to be ready to play a green blue. It's all figured out. Yeah.
Oh, definitely not.
It's going to take a while. When I think of green blue, I'm attracted to the card Bend to My Will. It just seems like something that only green blue gets to play. And then that card really makes me want to play Fishbone Quill, which kind of is your path. That's how I know I don't really want to be shifting. It's because I'm like, well, I already want to play Fishbone Quill. That's an item, so I might as well play all these other items. And now I can play Ink Geyser because Ink Geyser Fishbone Quill is like kind of good. So my like deck building inclination is not toward the shift lines, just because I feel like the really powerful cards I want to play that are drawing me to the color combination are like other ones. Like maybe you play the new Baymax if that ends up being like a worthwhile trick that can also like maybe sing something later on. You know, like you shift, kill something, and next turn you're representing like we don't talk about Bruno or You're Welcome. You know, sing You're Welcome, then bend to my will. Like those lines are pretty intriguing to me, but I'm more pulled toward the items because I want to play Fishbone Quill anyway, and I feel like Fishbone Quill is so well supported by things like Tamatoa.
Well, okay, so I'll talk about how I think green blue would become a player. The meta has to be all blue already.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Otherwise, what were we talking about before? Purple steel and yellow green. You Ink Geyser them. What happened? They don't care.
Right, they're like good.
They're like already there anyway. Yeah.
Bend to my will them. They're like, I already got all my characters on the board.
They're like good.
So I don't think that I just don't think that those cards, they need to be like 60% or 70% of the room has to be blue in order to justify you playing a card like Ink Geyser in the first place.
I agree with you 100%, and that it gives us a little hope for the format, right, Dan? Because that's a rock paper scissors right there. If blue decks are dominating, but blue green beats all the blue decks, but then aggro decks beat blue green, you're beginning to like approach a really fun and healthy format. I love rock paper scissors.
It's not rock paper scissors. It's like it's as if it's like let me give you a good description. It's as if there was rock, paper, scissors before, and you took scissors and you cut it in half, and now rock is rock, scissors.
Yeah.
And paper is paper, scissors.
It's like rock, paper, scissors.
Yeah, but like basically, you know, you're forced to play blue in all of them, and like you gotta like, it's like ridiculous. So we can pretend it's rock, paper, scissors, but everything has a little bit of scissors in it.
Yeah, you're right. That was a really good
Analogy.
That's a great analogy. All right, what's the next deck we want to talk about? So green blue, obviously I think it's a big winner no matter what, because it was pretty fringe in set 6. Even though I think that deck was actually really good. It just got figured out pretty late.
Yeah, it was picking up a lot of steam late for sure. The Muses bounce situation, very, very cracked. I mean, we could touch on Ruby still for a little bit if we want. I think people are pretty excited about the new Mushu card. When I say people, what? I mean me, because I love Mushu. Also, our friend Nathan.
Nathan
loves
is
Mushu.
Freaking out about this deck. He actually calls me about it every day, and we brainstorm. I have turned him on to the combo. So let me tell you guys about Lorcana's first, most bestest combo. Are you ready, Zan?
Yeah.
Okay. If you have a Maui Shark, and you have a One Last Hope, and there's a Fan the Flames in your discard pile, your opponent never gets to have a creature or a character again, unless it has like 5 or more attack.
Mm-hmm.
Because you use One Last Hope, so now your Maui can attack untapped creatures. You attack an untapped creature, you get to get a card back from your discard pile. You choose Fan the Flames. And then, so you use Fan the Flames to unexert your Maui Shark. And then now, all of a sudden, your Maui Shark can kill or can attack all of their characters. And then every time it eats a character, you get the Fan the Flames back to do it again. And then on the last one, you get back the One Last Hope. So now the One Last Hope is back in your hand. The Fan the Flames in the discard pile. They have no characters because you just ate them all with your Maui Shark. And then you get to say go. If they play a character, then you One Last Hope again and then get your One Last Hope back. And you've successfully locked them out of having characters for the rest of the game. What do you think of the combo?
You also gain the lore every time you...
Oh, yeah, you gain a lore every time. You don't get to do this for very long because you're going to win pretty quickly.
What do I think about the combo?
Amazing combo.
It's like fancy for no reason. Wait, who's trying to be so fancy?
What do you mean? They don't get to have a guy for the rest of the game. If we're talking about that green-yellow deck, the combo shuts them all the way down. They're done playing after you
Okay,
get the combo.
if we are in a yellow-green world, then I'm totally down to bring out the red steelness. But like that combo means nothing.
We're calling Red Steel Vikings, by the way. You're down to play Vikings?
There's not a single Viking
There's
card.
no
No, they're all about like combat. They're like raiding.
No,
Anyway, me and Nathan have been calling it Vikings. It's gonna stick.
no, it's not.
Okay. What are you calling it? Knights? No knights in it either.
No,
It's like a challenge deck, right?
Ruby Steel Challenge, Mushu. You can just call it Mushu.
I'm gonna call it not a deck.
Yeah, okay. Why don't you rain on my parade, Zan? I have a cool combo that says they never gonna have a guy again. What's the problem?
I mean,
What's the problem? What's the problem with Ruby Steel in general, right? What is the deck not able to do?
it's not able to draw cards.
Draw cards.
Well, it has draw card mechanics, but it just does it worse than everybody else.
Sure.
Right? Like it has the best removal, but the worst draw effects.
Mhm.
It just does everything slightly worse than everybody else.
Sure. I mean, do you have to play a whole new world in the deck? Is it whole new world or bust? Or is there a
I mean,
version
if
where
you
can
were
play
to-
everything that says draw a card that exists in Steel?
The funny thing about it is, like, if you cast Whole New World, you're not going to be able to play all your stuff because stuff in those colors are just is just expensive, and so it just doesn't. It just doesn't work. Yes, you're gonna have some really polarized matchups. You can beat all these like yellow, green, whatever nothing decks. Amber Steel, you might be able to beat that. But you're just going to have a tough time against blue red.
The blue decks can outvalue you. They can sweep you up, and they also have a faster clock than you, and they don't necessarily need to quest that much to get there. So
Yeah, I mean, like just
So it's not
imagine,
good.
they were like, they do the combo, wipe your whole board. The blue red player is like, okay, be prep, let's do it again, and then they play Hiram and draw a bunch of cards, and
yeah.
that's the game.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the game. But have you considered that if they're blue steel and they have a Cogsworth in play, it doesn't even matter that their guy has ward because the combo still works.
Wow, incredible.
So here's the list. You have 4 Sticky Mickeys, and you're shifting those into the Costco Mickeys.
Okay, you know how we would be talking about this deck is if this combo, every single time it connected with somebody, you drew 4 cards.
You don't draw any cards. That's not happening in this deck. We're not doing draw cards. We're doing a different, better thing, which is we get to name our guys Sticky Mickey, Costco Mickey. We have Robin Hood shift lines, so you have 2 lines to shift on turn 3 into a whole new world if you run out of cards
Like,
for
just
some
think
reason.
about it. If you're playing purple steel, they can play just one guy that represents one lore, and they will win. They just go one guy lore, one guy lore, one guy lore.
No, because you gain lore with like your Calhouns and your Mushus. Yes, 100%.
So ridiculous.
Those things say gain lore on them.
but you run out of cards. Like one friends is more cards than your entire deck.
Yeah, that's a lot of cards, but you're playing Doc. You're
One
playing a whole new
dock,
world.
one dock in the purple steel deck can represent all 4 docks.
This feels like such a reverse of how we usually talk. I'm usually a big deck downer, and for some reason on this podcast, I'm a huge deck advocate. I'm like, what do you guys?
For sure.
I'm just trying to.
No. Okay, so I'm talking to my friends who I'm gonna go to a bunch of tournaments with, right?
Yeah.
So my tone is maybe less optimistic on these decks because I want, let's say we're playing literally day 1.
Sure.
Right? We're playing day 1. If Nathan actually believes red steel is real, I need to do some hard work to like not
Not let Nathan
You got
fall in a
some
hole.
work to do.
Yeah, I don't want my friends to fall on a sword, right? Like, yes, red steel has a chance, right? But we gotta realistically give it a number, right? And if it's out of 100, it's got to be below 5.
It's not below 5. It's
That's
below
like-
like 40. It's below
Right.
like 30.
So like we can, you know what we should be doing? We should be being like red steel below 5. You know, Yellow green below 20.
Yeah, that makes you a Bayesian rationalist. Is that you always want to put a percentage and a number on things.
Well, we have
but not everybody thinks that way.
We have a finite amount of time, and I'm just trying to optimize.
And what I'm commenting on is it's interesting because you're usually the bigger try it out guy, and I'm usually the big naysayer. And I'm like, it's just interesting that it's going the other way on this podcast.
Well, when we're on Lorcana and all the cards are available, and I'm just playing like casually every day.
Yeah, that's
when I'm like trying out everything. So even if there's a 5% chance that red steel is real, I will go try it out because that 5% is worth me going to go spend the time.
Yeah, but he logs on my Lorcanito, which is why my MMR is so low. It's because that's where he does all his testing on the fringe decks.
I don't know his account information.
Yeah, okay. That is not something people believe. Okay, so red. Yeah, I just want to clarify for the viewer. I'm not a bigger believer in red steel. I'm just talking about why you would want to play the deck. You're attracted to red steel because you like the idea of playing a whole new world. You like the idea of playing a lot of removal spells and powerful creatures. You feel like you can be judicious about your card draw. You know, you think between Dock and a whole new world that you're going to be like good. You know. These are the reasons to play red steel, and you're going to have a tough time with decks like red blue, and you're going to have, I mean, honestly, your dream matchup is something like purple green or yellow green, just like an aggressive deck that doesn't have a lot of removal, so that your little guys can really fight their guys, which Vikings like to do.
All right, so we're gonna talk about the ocean. All right, we're gonna talk about the ocean, and you can think about the ocean like all of the color combinations that are possible, right? So we have 6 colors. 6 times 6 is 36.
So 15 color combinations are possible.
Is that what? Is that true?
Yeah, you just math it real fast.
Okay, cool. It's 15.
I don't know.
I'm not gonna fact check him, but it sounds ish.
It's 6 + 5 + 4 + 3 + 2 + 1. So
cool. Good job. All right. So like if I'm doing an interview and someone's like, how did you pick between 15 color combinations? You can logic your way out of playing a lot of these color combinations because they have not been given the proper support, right? Each deck needs to meet certain criteria in order for it to be successful. And right now, a lot of these decks, that even the ones that we're talking about, are not meeting those criteria because like burn is something that has always been close. We just have never gotten over the hump. Every single set that comes out, we're like, is it time? And it hasn't been time. I'm hoping that we finally have the tools, but the chances that it ends up being in yellow green as opposed to yellow purple does not make any sense.
Ooh, what about a red purple deck with 4 Pirate's Life and Maui Shark?
A red purple deck?
Yeah.
Isn't that what Kendall played at Continentals?
Yeah, but we're doing it live.
Gathering knowledge and wisdom.
Yeah, I mean
the family card we talked about.
This is my family.
Yeah, but this just seems like a worse purple steel deck at this point.
Yeah, I mean this deck's not good. I don't want to play it.
Yeah, but I will give red purple burn, higher than 60% to be live.
That's a huge number compared to the 5% ruby steel got.
Ruby steel 5%, red purple burn. I don't know.
What do you
60,
mean?
70.
It did top 8 Seattle. That was not that long ago.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking about.
Right, it top 8 Seattle. Not only did it top 8 Seattle, red purple as a color combination, like there were points at like red purple was so dominant that you could, as long as you had the core 40, you could play Winnie the Pooh. You could play any inkable purple or red card and you could win with it. You know what I mean? If there was a starter deck, I could probably win a DLC with it. That's how good red purple was.
So how do we want to? Is there any deck we're missing? How do you want to wrap this conversation up?
I think we touched on Amber briefly, but Amber Steel, right? We had 2 main versions in set 6. We had the Diggy Diggy Hole version, and we had Amber Steel Songs.
Yes.
It seems to me Amber didn't get a ton of new tools.
No, I do believe in the Glass Slipper.
We do believe in the glass slipper. You can only play 2 of them in your deck.
Yeah, they should have gone off theme. Let us play all 4 glass slippers. You know what I mean? Figure that out ourselves.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm thinking back to some diggy hole games I had where I just ran out of gas at the end. If I could have had 3 lore out of nowhere, changes that whole game, right?
I completely agree. So, like diggy hole and songs, I think is on the chopping block. I do think that, I don't know. I feel like songs is better than it's ever been, because I think that the version of blue red that's going to be dominant is not going to be like a giant Sisu version.
Songs was the best deck of set 3. So do you think that this is going to be the best deck?
No. I just think that it has a higher than 70% chance of being a top 3 deck.
Wow. Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, Sisu Red Blue's not going away overnight, right? I mean, 25% of the room was playing blue red last go around, right? Those aren't just disappearing overnight, right? Everybody puts it down and puts items or something right into their deck to play the new Bell card.
Mm-hmm.
We already had a ton of items, but we got unconventional tool, I guess, right? So Sisu's not just going away overnight.
Sisu is not going away overnight. Yeah, I mean, but it was falling off towards the end just because Din's version was dominating it. Mm-hmm. And I don't think Din's list is going anywhere. Right? Like, I think that is a dedicated version to the actions as opposed to items. And it proved itself as the best deck at the end of set 6. And so, you know, I think it's still a good place to start the next set. And yeah, so I think that deck is going to probably win a couple of tournaments still. But as the format goes along, then I think that people will adapt and punish it. And I think Amber Steel Songs does a much better job than Diggy Hole.
Great. Yeah, I mean, I'm higher on songs than Hole, especially because like the princess I really want to get is 3-mana Ariel, you know, and that's pretty powerful. Or if not, the Cinderella, you know what I mean? I think that's pretty good.
What about Rapunzel?
What about Rapunzel? You know, if I got the slipper already, that's 3 lore. I'm just trying to win the game. I'm trying to draw a card.
Yeah. I wish it was. I feel like it was time for like a good Snow White, because we have Doc.
There's a new Snow White. It's a 4-ink 2/2 that quests for 2, and you can't challenge it at all. Pretty good. It's like the
if you sing a song in a turn, right?
What?
Is that the one where you have to play a song that turn for not to be able to be challenged?
Oh, that's the harp. You're talking about the golden harp lady.
No, the gold harp just dies if you don't play a song.
Do you remember when that made like a finals of a DLC and everybody was like, "This card is so great," and I'm like, "Please, like,
have fun, guys, with your golden harp that's gonna just like break apart." I'm pretty sure that this is just a 4-ink 2/2 that can't be challenged.
It's a Madrigal card. The one I'm thinking of is a Madrigal.
Oh, you're thinking of one of those Madrigal cards. Zan, Yellow Steel, what about the new Bolt? Is that something you're excited in playing?
Nope. Simba's still better.
Well, he doesn't believe in Bolt. Sorry, everybody.
No one does. No.
If you open one of those cards, just go ahead and throw it in the trash can. All right, you're not going to need it. It's bad. Worse than Simba. Just take it, rip it up, throw it in the trash can, do it in front of a kid so they learn. Like you're supposed to. All right, anything else? Anybody got any good stories from the week, or are we not there yet?
You can do your story.
Oh my gosh.
You clearly have a story to tell. Go ahead.
Zan, my grandma called me today.
Holy moly.
And she wanted you to come visit. And I was like, "You want Zan to come visit?" She was like, "Yeah, you were his best man. I want him to come visit. We'll make some good food." She was like, "I remember the first time I met Zan, you were FaceTiming him." And I was like, "Yeah." And she was like, he wanted you to like travel really far to play in some card game tournament. And I was like, "That's exactly right." And you were like, "Oh, but you couldn't because you were going to hang out with your girlfriend." And I was like, "Yeah, that sounds right, Grandma." And he was like, "And he hated that." And I was like, "Cool, Grandma. Yeah, I'll bring him around." That is Zan. That's exactly Zan.
Well, the person that you were dating at the time Me and that person did not get along.
Zan, just because you don't like somebody's cat doesn't mean that they're a bad fit for me.
Well, I overall like cats, but Marvin was from another dimension.
Yeah, that cat was that was a hard cat to live with. So anyway, I just loved that story. I just loved that my grandma called me and was like, he was trying to get you to go to some faraway tournament. I was like, yeah, yeah, he was. He's the best at that. When Kendall Burdett was talking to me, he was like, should I go to Australia to play in the DLC? I was like, you should talk to Zan. Because in my head, I wanted him to, and I knew that Zan is the best person in the world at convincing you to go to some freaking tournament. Jesus. You know what my March calendar looks like because of you?
Fun.
It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going on a road trip.
Fun.
Want to announce it? Ryan, announce our little road trip.
Oh, yeah. I bought an air mattress for a road trip.
No, you didn't buy that.
That was such a good purchase.
So if anybody wants to carpool down to Miami, it's not in Miami, Fort Lauderdale.
Fort Lauderdale.
Hey, we don't have any more room.
Next week, you can follow us down. We have an air mattress in the back of the car.
You can caravan with us, and you'll see Zan's feet as he sleeps on the air mattress and,
Zan can't sleep on the air mattress. He's not allowed to go to sleep.
What the hell?
He has to
We
sleep.
want peace in the car.
I am flying back because I do have something I need to attend on.
Yeah, we'll sleep on the way back.
That's fine.
You have something I need to attend. Why do you sound like a mob boss right now?
Sometimes you just give off those vibes.
I guess it never happens to me, but I guess other people do sometimes.
But yeah, speaking of your grandma, if next time we're going through Elkin,
Yep, Elkin, North Carolina.
I'd be happy to stop by and say hi.
She's ready to cook for you. She's maybe the best cook in the world. It's just an amazing time, and we can go there. We can go to the drive-through zoo. She always likes to go to the drive-through zoo.
What the heck is that?
It's
Is that real?
so in like Asheboro, North Carolina, somewhere around there. There's like a reservation that's got a bunch of like ostriches and emus and like potbelly pigs on it, and you can drive through and they give you like a bunch of buckets of their like feed, and the ostriches like stick their head in your car and eat all the food. Out of
That
your
sounds
hands.
like my worst nightmare.
Yeah, it's extremely scary when it happens. There's also buffalo, and they're huge. They're all like bigger than every car I've ever been in that zoo in. And there's a giraffe. So we can do the drive. My grandma loves it because inevitably we're always there with some kid, and the kid's crying the whole time, and my grandma is laughing her butt off at it.
Drop a comment if you have ever been to a drive-through zoo.
I've been like 3 times.
Yeah. You should drop a comment if you want us to do a road trip.
Ooh, yeah.
Podcast.
Yeah.
Ooh, podcast. We should do like a vlog where we just like do like 2 or 3 little short videos.
Tell us what you want.
Tell us what you want. We're going on a road trip. What do you want to see? Long form podcast, short form blog, something at magazine collage.
Zan yelling at us for our card choices.
Zan is pretty upset that we want to play fun cards like the new Mushu or the new Lady and the Tramp. He's like, guys, get these multicolor cards out of here. You got to focus, okay?
It's like such a
Yamato.
double whammy because everybody believes certain cards are going to be good and they're not. And they're like $30 for no reason. And so it's like a double whammy. I'm like trying to save your wallet and save you.
What's the $30 card
tournament.
for no reason?
Oh, yeah. Which one should we avoid?
Lady Tramp.
That card's $30?
I don't know. It's probably like 20 or 30.
That card's $20. If that card is more than $5, I'm not buying it.
Is it a legendary?
No,
I don't know.
It's a super rare.
I don't know. I don't know what anything costs. I'm just saying it's more expensive than it is going to be in week 2.
The most expensive card in the yellow green deck is Clarabelle, and I'm gonna borrow them from Ryan.
Clarabelle is in that deck?
Yeah,
I had no idea.
Clarabelle deck.
Okay, best enchanted from the new set. Go.
Dark Magician.
Nice. Yeah, that's pretty good.
Dude, it's not even close.
I know it's not close, and mine's Jafar.
Tamatoa.
Oh, come on.
Are you kidding me?
I think it's not close, and it's easily the Dark Magician Donald.
That card is Tamatoa is going to see so much play, and it looks so freaking awesome. What are we even talking about?
It probably will be the most expensive.
Yes.
Not
'Cause
so
it's
fast,
going to be
Kaiba.
so highly played. Yeah, for sure.
If you would like to sell me yours on day 1, let me know. I want my playset.
Zan wants 4 enchanted Tamatoas. We'll pay
Yes.
anything.
No, not what the.
That's what he
Pay
said.
anything.
All right.
Zan's like, yeah, I'll pay anything. One of Jeremy's organs, some of Jeremy's blood, all of Jeremy's money. I'll pay anything you want.
No.
That's how Zan acts.
No, I do not.
Yeah, no, he doesn't. I'm just teasing him.
It's time to play Wingspan.
All right. Well, we'll see you guys next week. Thanks so much for tuning in. Let's go down the road and do where can they find you? You can find me on Twitter at MoxJeremy. And I'm probably starting to Metafy soon because I guess I'm making PowerPoints of decks. Ryan, where can they find you?
I'm on Twitter. You can find me there at ATL Ryan Walker.
And thanks for being here. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.